This is culturally inappropriate.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last time you saw my face, I was smiling because I had graduated. Today, I am not smiling because I have not graduated. So what you're watching right now is an attempt to pay the tuition of another class I'll have to take. But anyhow, Plants vs. Zombies Waste was a mod that was created to answer one question. If every plant and every zombie was nerfed into the ground, would that result in a balanced game or a horrifically mangled mess? Well, as it turns out, if game design fundamentals are followed and player experience is prioritized, a mod with this concept could not only work, but be an enjoyable experience. But obviously, there are many different ways to mess up Plants vs. Zombies, and the developers agreed, which is why PvZ Waste isn't actually one mod, it's 3, an entire trilogy. I've previously covered PvZ Waste 1, which was actually a pretty good time. Naturally then, I went into the sequel with high expectations in more ways than one. However, having actually finished it now, I feel as though my trust has been betrayed in more ways than one. And so, without further ado, let's go. The first few plants you get are often a strong indicator of what's to come, and the pea cannon does make a big first impression. As expected, it's like a cob cannon, but much weaker, with its range shrunk down from 4 squares to just 1. 3 shots from a pea cannon will take down a brown coat, and it can actually hit multiple targets if they walk close enough to one another. Sunflowers now have a small purple cap because they're actually scaredy, but unlike the mushroom equivalent that just shrinks into the ground, they just fucking disappear instead. You might be inclined to believe that this isn't much of a nerf because sunflowers are in the backline anyway, but a spoiler alert, it really hurts to crumble when it matters most. And following those somewhat severe but not debilitating nerfs, we get a couple of plants that are actually unusable. You know how cherry bombs are really good at crowd control, but also single target elimination? Yeah, how about we do none of that and make it useless in 99% of situations? This thing, the cherry cart, will ride forward before it explodes. That's not too bad, until you realize that you cannot control the speed. Sometimes it goes too fast, sometimes it's way too slow, but during a big wave where you need it the most, it will always fly off the handle and hit absolutely nothing. It can't kill single targets, it can't kill groups, it's just garbage. Genuinely, the only way you can make a worse plant is if by using it, it literally kills you. I mean, surely it isn't that bad, right? Let's see it in action. Okay. Alright. Why does the price keep going down though? Yes, ladies and gents, as if it weren't such a big deal that I didn't have any real walnuts the last time, they decided to make this one just kill the player outright. You get 2 bites that hypnotize some zombies, and then it's instant death. But you know what the worst part is? You can't remove it. You just have to leave it there and defend it with every ounce of your being. Wow. Okay, for real this time. The only way you can make a worse plant is if it literally kills you in real life. Phew. Of course the zombies got nerfed as well, but they're light slaps on the wrist compared to what the plants got. Cone heads are now ice heads that walk slower when they get hit by projectiles, a nerf I am very thankful for, considering that I have to shoot them manually with pea cannon. Pole vaulters now turn backwards after they jump, but honestly the most nerfed thing is the animation. Ugh. Snow pea has been done absolutely dirty, because it shoots glacially slow, get it? And I mean one shot every 30 seconds slow. The only way to speed it up is by having a zombie eat that surrounding ice away, but as you can see, it's far harder than you think. But the worst offender and my most hated plant possibly of all time is the Scaredy Mine. If you recall, it was my favorite plant of Waste 1 thanks to its zero cost and high utility in damaging tough enemies. Cool, right? Well, here's what it does now. Nothing! Absolutely nothing! It's not a normal potato mine, it's not an insta-kill potato mine, it just sits there and gets eaten to death. And would you believe that the only function this thing will have for 99% of the game is as a pot? Seriously, its only use is as a parking space for the floating repeater that has a balloon, so it shouldn't even need a parking space at all! What the fuck? Two plants that are useless without each other, costing 225 sun in a 25 sun meta to defend one lane. This is incredibly stupid, and moreover, I just hate to see my boy Scaredy Mind get screwed in this way. World 1 was pretty bad, but folks, somehow things can get so much worse. The other day, I saw a YouTube video from a channel called LCCH, part of that trend where people pretend to be famous YouTubers for fun, and it was a video of them beating 2-1 of vanilla PvZ without any puff shrooms. It's played off as a joke here, but genuinely, if you aren't very good at Plants vs. Zombies, doing this level without the free puff shrooms is quite a difficulty spike compared to playing normally, especially with using mowers and managing the economy. Now what if you don't have a choice? The plant reward for 1-10 is this mushroom, which acts both as a snow pea and a hypno shroom. It's cool in and of itself, I suppose, but its problem is that it's 75 sun. Uh-oh. So, I was thrust into the 2-1 puff shroomless challenge against my will, in a mod that makes everything 10 times worse. What could go wrong? In vanilla, you have to try and use these slow-ass sunflowers to generate enough money for more sunflowers and eventually pea shooters. This involves picking a random lane and praying that zombies don't walk there for the first few minutes, otherwise you will lose immediately. It's the exact same thing in this mod, but the teeny tiny difference is that sunflowers are scaredy. Any zombie that walks above, below, or in front of the sunflower will outright kill it. And if that happens, you lose. So in a map with 5 lanes, you literally just have to pray that zombies don't walk on 40% of them for several minutes. Why, Sunflower, why? In your most important moment, do you just absolutely cave under pressure? Who are you? Why do you cave under pressure? Are you... Shit. Oh, I got it. There we go. Okay, I'm sorry. It took dozens of restarts to get even one promising attempt, and that's even before I tell you about the second massive hurdle, the lawnmowers. These lawnmowers will create these stupid fucking coin nuts that take your money for every zombie bite. And guess what? You can't dig them up because the shovel spawns gravestones. So when this happens, and it will, you just have to leave them there or else lose in the final wave. But you know what's the worst part of all? Each one of these takes sun. 25 sun each to plant them until it covers the entire lane, taking every diamond cent I ever had. So in summary, runs go like this. Plant sunflower, zombie walks on that lane or the lane adjacent, die. Plant multiple sunflowers, zombie touches mower too fast, lose all money, die. Plant sunflowers, plant pea cannon, but it's not enough DPS to deal with the horde, die. Do everything right all the way until the end, where pea cannons are far too slow for the amount of zombies, die. What the fuck is this level? After 20 retries, I was at a loss. I even looked up my friend's playthrough of the level, and he said it was hard but still beatable. How? It took me nearly a full hour and I still got absolutely nowhere. I don't know if this level was a design oversight or they just wanted to be assholes, but I just skipped this level via PvZ tools and I am not ashamed of that. Good fucking riddance. Now where was I? Oh yeah, World 2. I'll be honest with you in saying that it was all just a blur after that first level. There was a sun shroom that grew up into a landmine, a plant buster that busts plants, a zombie carrying a walnut that gets sniped by pea cannon, and an unchanged football guy, but he gives money now. Yay. Oh yeah, and this happened. Remember the pole vaulters that turn around after they jump over? Well, here's what happens if they eat a hypno shroom. I die. Of course I do. That's what this is all about, isn't it? This world was so tough that even the conveyor belt level took me multiple tries. But honestly, I'm just glad it's over, and I'm more than ready to once again feel the sunshine. Folks, I haven't been telling you the whole truth, or at least what I believe to be the truth. And that is, this actually isn't the sequel at all. This is the first game. I can't definitively confirm this, but the evidence is undeniable. In this game, the quality of life is worse, difficulty cannot be changed, and multiple sprites from this game end up in future ones as way better plants, indicating that the devs learned from their mistakes. As such, I have reason to believe that this Discord message lied to me. This game is Waste 1, the other one is Waste 2, and Waste Supermodel is number 3. This revelation also puts so many of this game's awful design decisions into perspective, because it likely was just a group of friends fucking around making a mod. Alright, we'll get to World 3 in a moment, but for now, let's just enjoy the beautiful sunshine, okay? Take a deep breath with me. Alright, when you have pea cannon, water enemies aren't really that big of a deal, since you can shoot from anywhere. As such, most of the world was very pleasant and went by without a hitch. The lily pad's debuff being that it's a garlic is very minor, but look at this matrix shit. The next plant we get is the two-peter, which shoots lanes above and below, but only if there's a zombie in front of it. You know it's bad when this plant is considered an absolute godsend. It works, it functions exactly like you want it to, and it doesn't disappear on a whim or rely on something else to work other than zombies. Incredible plant, 5 Mark Ruffalos. I also wanted to buy some pool cleaners, so once again I partook in some bowling. My boiling, bubbling anger in World 1 made me forget to say that the hypnotizing function of the brain nut also works here, but without the me dying part. It went by without a hitch. And from one good thing to another, they gave me possibly the best designed and certainly my favorite plant in the whole game, the magnet pea. This thing is broken in the best way possible. As we know, the two-peter can only shoot above and below. Magnet pea's gimmick is sucking up everything two-peters spat out and pushing it into the middle row, but it also does something else. You can clearly see that the peas which haven't hit zombies yet are being looped back into the system by another magnet pea, running it again and again and again. In exchange for heavily reduced range, this causes a mass accumulation of peas into a giant sweeping beam of death. Look at it just cut through zombies like it's nothing. It even goes straight through shields like nobody's business. Magnet P possesses an insane amount of potential power, so it's real sad that I could only take advantage of it in this world. Zombie variety hasn't really increased by that much. They have the bungee that gives plants, but most of the time it just puts shit where I already have plants. The Zomboni now has a pepper head, meaning that when it dies, it'll melt its own snowpath. The catapult zombie now heals plants with its projectiles, but it will still crush plants whenever it feels like it. Neither are big nerfs, and they're still pretty dangerous and annoying zombies. Oh yeah, there's this guy too. You may make fun of him, but the important thing is that he tried. Something a lot of you can't say the same. All in all, World 3 was genuinely the easiest and most fun one so far. Just goes to show how great life is when you have a good stream of income, constant daylight, and a pool in the backyard. And, for once, World 4 isn't the worst thing on the planet. I don't quite remember when I got the rat scaredy shroom. Maybe it was World 2, but I was too enraged to remember anything good from it. But yeah, this is a great plant. Its gimmick is that you literally cannot dig it up because it runs away from your shovel. Not only is this pretty funny, but it's almost a direct buff, since you can actually move them on top of other plants to save space, with the risk of them falling into the water instead. Either way, this guy was a huge help for being able to deal some actual automatic damage for a mere 25 sun. Thank fuck. World 4's new plants aren't all that bad either. Again, they refuse to give us anything for free, but at least Scaredy Sea Shroom has full lawn range now. The Giga Plantern is quite interesting, because it costs 0 and will clear fog, but if zombies don't destroy it quick enough, it spawns a Giga Imp, which has very low health, but can be a nuisance if it gets close, as it'll smash its big ass head against plants to kill them. Following that is the Vase Breaker level. I don't know the reason, but every single conveyor belt or minigame stage that has the P cannon will turn it into one of these weird baby things that'll shoot random projectiles. And by random, I mean random. One brown coat remaining and they proc garlic on it. Unfucking believable. They also force you to use the grave squash. If you remember, we create graves when we dig stuff up, so we have to find plants that can be placed on the ground, dig them up, and then put the squash on it so that it works. Really a shit plant and I never used it again. The final wave of Vase Breaker has me dealing with pole vaulting Jacksons with the reverse Hypnotroom. It hypnotizes enemies but doesn't turn them around. You can guess how that went. In total, it took me roughly 20 restarts of this level to brute force my way to a win, but even then, look at the way that I won. One of the two garlic backup dancers ate the reverse hypno shroom but didn't have the time to walk forward, died to his friend who ate him, and then that guy walked down to a lane with a pea shooter. It's insane how slim those margins were, but I'll take anything at this point. Rest of the world was not a big deal at all, especially since they gave me this barely nerfed starfruit that I don't even quite understand. And once again, we reach 4-10, my favorite level. It was extremely easy, don't get me wrong, but at this point, I'm just playing this stage for the atmosphere. Maybe I'm just a fan of stormy rain sounds in the night, I don't know. But either way, I quite enjoyed this world, and was looking forward to the nice and easy roof stage to satisfyingly round off the game. Yeah, about that. Okay, so what is this? Why are they half walnuts? You can't plant on them? And you have to use the fucking plant buster to have any plant spots at all? What the fuck are you talking about? Who in their right mind makes a level where you have to pay Sun to occupy slots on the field? I play games not to think about the real estate market, not get reminded of it, you dickheads. There is no way around this. There aren't any hidden tricks to making this any easier than it looks. No, you really do have to spend 75 Sun each to unlock every individual spot on the roof. And on top of that, this level is actually difficult. The Bungie zombie gave me a blessing right before the final wave with a free P cannon, but then right at the end, it put down a goddamn coin nut right in front of my sunflowers, killing them both. I could have probably won this run now that I'm looking at it, but I restarted out of sheer frustration. In another attempt, I tried making some graves to use the grave squash, but the zombies that came out of the wave were way harder than I bargained for. So that's another restart. And then, in my final run, I just said fuck it. I put down coin nuts to stall them enough for the spike pots to kill them, letting them take my money with the assumption that the rest of the world will be nowhere near as evil. Yeah, about that. Carbine. Will you ever finish the hideous growth on my butt? I've been itching for days. Love, Stumpy. Dear Stumpy, the short answer is no. The long answer is no. There is no fucking way I am even entertaining the idea of playing a whole world with this gimmick. I've now understood that the developers of this mod just slap shit together without any playtesting, so why should I give it the time of day? I skipped all the way to 510 to at least try and give them the courtesy of beating the final level. Thankfully, all the nut pots became normal pots in this one, so I could have an actually reasonable experience. It took a few tries, but eventually something caused Zomboss to just freeze in place for like a full minute. Truly, a great way to cap off a horribly half-baked, disgustingly unbalanced mod with maybe 10 viable plants at most, and some levels being literally unplayable. Thank God it's over with. So, all in all... Wait. Do you see that? 6? Okay. Sure. At least they didn't make me buy spots to put my fucking plants this time around. This makes it the perfect opportunity to finally show you this thing. This is a catapult, not a melon pult, because it doesn't throw melons. And you know how I said the scaredy mine doesn't do jack shit besides being a plant pot? For 99% of the game, that's true, but the remainder is this. Catapult is nearly useless otherwise. It tosses any plant behind it forwards with reckless abandon. So this is yet another plant that requires a different plant to be usable. And spending 2 whole lanes for a method of defense that drains your economy while sun production is still dogshit at night? I'm not an economist, but I can tell you that that doesn't work. And once again, we always come back to P cannon. 4 tries was what it took to beat 6-1, and then the next one is exactly the same. No new plants, no new zombies, just some gold. So I skipped all the levels again, and sure enough, 610 didn't even have a boss. It was just a filler world in an already busted up, horribly balanced game that I am so glad is over. So, all in all, this sucked. The plants were less creative, the levels were barely playtested, and it was full of boneheaded gimmicks that are funny in theory, but were absolutely asinine to sit through. This mod has some historical value in that we know it would eventually lead to bigger and better things, but as a game, I simply cannot recommend it to people who haven't played a shit ton of PvZ mods and someone who doesn't have a cheat engine just lying around. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Click the like and the subscribe, and comment down below what you think I should play next. Thank you all for watching. Peace.